join us live from the Interlagos circuit, the virtual Interlagos circuit for qualifying for Breakout Racing League Formula 1. I'm Rick James, here to bring you all the action for the next 17.5 minutes as we go through qualifying for the 21st, and penultimate round of Breakout Racing League's 2020 Formula 1 World Championship. Boss Cookie and one of the Red Bulls taking too early action out on the racetrack. A couple of the Red Bulls actually taking to the circuit. Hoopalicious in the other identical Red Bull now going into the lake descent. Hoopalicious finds himself third in the points standings right now, 45 points back of BRL Pirandi in the second position. So we'll keep our eyes on both of these Red Bulls to see what kind of trouble they can get up to in Interlagos. RBM Mari in one of these papaya-colored McLarens down the dive corner through junction before she climbs up the hill through the stands and across the long straight down into the Senna S. Once again, for those of you just joining us, thank you so much for being a part of this special broadcast. Foxtrot in the chat says hi. Hello, Foxtrot. TRT Arthur F1 says GSRX for Dub Riot. So already a couple of fans getting interactive in the chat. You can do the same. Go ahead and let us know who you're rooting for, who you want to see get the win, or possibly what kind of weather you might be predicting for today's event. Now with FinFan down through the Senna S, you see a big lockup from that Alfa Romeo into that particular corner. FinFan not doing poorly, you might say, this season, sitting 11th in points, just 3 back of breaking the top 10. So still a lot to race for number 1 FinFan. Deer Hunter sits in 10th, just 3 points ahead. Speaking of Deer Hunter, now on his first fast lap of this qualifying session with 15 minutes and change remaining. Getting a bit extracurricular there out of the dive through junction up the hill. Let's ride along with Deer Hunter in this rose-colored racing point for a lap around Interlagos. GSR Joe says, Axe Goat. TRT Arthur says, it's all dry, Axe told me. GSR Joe predicts dry. Official RA Gamer says, when is next season planning to start? We'll get an answer for you before the end of the show, Official RA Gamer, on the beginning of the 2021 season. Anterior Titan 93 in the chat says, go FinFan, get that 106.79. Taylor Clan 2008 says, FinFan better beat my lap. So already a lot of conversation around FinFan. Let's go back to that Alpha. We'll pull up the telemetry here so we can see where FinFan ranks. So far 5th, and Deer Hunter coming down pit road, not completing his hot lap. Let's go back to the Alpha now. 107.33 as he comes out of junction, up the hill, through the front straight here. Not very straight, if you will, but exciting nonetheless. Anterior Titan throws down the gauntlet at 106.79. FinFan currently 107.339 with 13 minutes remaining in this qualifying session. Right now, your pole sitter is Hoopalicious. We took a look earlier at this driver, currently in the pits right now, but holding the fastest speed on the track with 106.86. RBM Mary right now second fastest as she comes down pit road, and her McLaren teammate B-Dunk sitting third. B-Dunk actually looks like he's about to exit the racetrack, or is that Mary? That's Mary who's going out for another run. B-Dunk just came in, and the Kiwi Ryan brings his black and silver arrow now into the podium places for qualifying. 1:06.94, one of 3 drivers to break the 1:06 barrier in qualifying at Interlagos. Ryan Ocon 31 says, I love Axe and Chandler. Let's have a look at GSR Axe in this AlphaTauri here, 1:08.10. His fastest lap so far with just under 12 minutes remaining. BRL Neymar driving one of the Haas's, I believe the lone Haas in today's event with a fastest lap of 1:08.36. Neymar persuaded a bit, you might say, to join this session. Happy to have him nonetheless. Ryan Ocon says he's pulling for Chandler Seta, who's now on the track in the opposite Alpha to number 1 FinFan. As the sun comes out, let's ride along as he goes up the hill into the infield section, this lovely part of the circuit known as the Duck's Beak. Heard a bit of a, not a misfire, but an anomaly shifting there, a lockup from the right front. All the way onto the curbs, through the dive corner into the flat junction, all the way with 2 wheels on the, not a curb if you will, but certainly mostly grass. A bit of a grind along the curb, 2 wheels onto the green and white stripes right up along the wall, and he goes top, 1:06.58. Chandler Seta sitting top with 10:30 remaining in qualifying. Ryan Ocon, and now look at this, Pirandi in the Renault, 1:06.47, just tops the Alfa Romeo, so a short-lived fastest lap for the Alfa. BRL Pirandi now sits top of the tree, the first driver to break 1:06.5 minutes at Interlagos, 9:56 to go in this qualifying session. Master Berserk, the only driver yet to post a time now through the Duck's Beak section. Or I should say now entering the Duck's Beak. Take a look at that telemetry in the bottom right-hand corner. Count the speed as it goes up. He enters the DRS zone. Hits the button on the steering wheel. The flap is open, 200 plus miles an hour. Very wide in the front, very wide in that opening corner there. He reached 204 miles an hour, riding along with Master Berserk as he goes down to the back straight into Lake Descent, turns 4 and 5 at Interlagos. A wide double apex as he treats it up the Ferradura corner. Eight, 9, known as Pinarino. Then he gets into 10, 11, the Duck's Beak, and then the dive. A little bit of oversteer out of the corner, but he goes down the descent in the dive corner through junction. Now he ascends up the hill through the box climb, as it's known colloquially, around the final corner known as stands. He finishes his lap with a time of 1:07.21. Master Berserk extremely wide. He was giving it a full send at the end. It's fast enough for 9th fastest with 7:55 to go. RBM Mary coming down pit road. She'll have a couple more attempts. Right now sitting just a few hundredths behind her teammate B-Dunk, who's exiting pit road to start his attempt for the pole. Taylor Clan says next season's going to start around the end of February. Talking to official RA Gamer, who asked, when is next season planning to start? Perandi right now on an out lap with the fastest time in the session, as is Chandler Seta. See Perandi right now being given clearance as he goes through the junction corner. Chandler Seta now going through dive into junction himself. So these two drivers currently fastest on the track, with a lovely view of the DRS system working on Perandi. He crosses the line to start his lap, 206 miles an hour into the Senna S. Around Sun Curve, down the back straight, he will hit turns 4 and 5 at over 2:05. The lake descent into Ferradura. Bit of a lockup from the right front. Many drivers locking up those tires. You can see he is rocking those red soft Pirellis as he climbs into the Duck's Beak. Turn 11, the dive leads into turn 12, junction. At the end of sector 2, the Red Bull wisely gets out of the way of the speeding Renault. He climbs the hill through the box ascent, and the Renault abandons his fast lap here at the end. Perandi now going to be extremely slow, and he'll need one more lap. Meanwhile, Chandler Seta, who's gone off with 5:48, he'll need to start another fast lap as well. The Kiwi Ryan, he's slow coming into junction. Hoopalicious, who appears to be on a flyer, up turn 6-7 into 8-9 Pinarino. Those of you just joining us, thank you so much for being a part of this chat. Thank you so much for being a part of round 21 of Breakout Racing League Formula One World Championship. It's the penultimate race of the season from the virtual Interlagos circuit. Next week we go to the beautiful Yas Marina to close out the season, and we'll pick right up again at the end of February to start the 2021 campaign as Hoopalicious goes second, 1:06.54. He now finds himself on the front row with less than 4.5 minutes remaining. Drivers know they will have one or two more attempts before the checkered flag flies over qualifying. Chandler Seta at a standstill, it looked like, going up the hill, but now moving at speed. He will be coming down pit road, and Chandler will have one more attempt. B-Dunk now through the box climb. B-Dunk coming down pit road. He will take this time for one more attempt. Hoopalicious still on a flyer as if he's trying to beat 1:06.54. But we did see him slow down on the back straight, so it won't be his fastest lap. Meanwhile, GSRX in the Alpha Tauri with less than 4 minutes remaining in the qualifying session on the fringes of the top 10 with his teammate Mean Fern right behind him. They're separated by less than a tenth and a half. What can GSRX do on those soft reds in the last 3.5 minutes? Ben Radcliffe asks, what's the traction and other assists rules in this league? Taylor Clan, perhaps you can help us out there. If you can enlighten the fans at home for traction and other assist rules, that would be fantastic, please and thank you. Or if anybody knows, if they could enlighten the lovely Ben Radcliffe. Ferrari Nut 94 out on the track, sixth fastest with a 1:06.77. Number one FinFan, seventh fastest on the table, 1:06.94. Here's GSRX abandoning his flying lap with Ferrari Nut. Now in through dive, turn 11. with less than 250, excuse me, BRL Perandi, the only driver to hit a time faster than 106.5. And the racing point comes down pit road to abandon their fast lap. Number 1 FinFan on a flyer, 106.94, has him 7th best at Interlagos. Crossing the line at 203 miles an hour, number 1 FinFan stays at 106.94. Now with Boss Cookie, who's 9th fastest, 107.18. The top 2 on outlaps right now. Chandler Seta, 3rd fastest on the track. Let's catch up with the Alpha. He goes through the sun curve. DRS opens for what could be his penultimate attempt at pole. Perandi now on a flyer through the Senna S, right behind the Alpha of Chandler Seta. Chandler a bit pedestrian up the hill. It looks like he'll be taking his time and he'll go for one more fast lap. FinFan still out on the track looking to climb. Hoopalicious on an outlap. B-Dunk and the Kiwi Ryan, your points leader, now on outlaps. What can these two do nose to tail? Perhaps a bit of a symbiotic relationship between the Mercedes and the McLaren. Who will give the toe to whom for their fastest lap? Perandi. Now through turn 11. Going slow, letting one of the Mercedes go by, and Perandi coming to a very slow pace to begin his ascent up the hill. Hoopalicious on a flyer. Mary begins her flyer, the Kiwi now up the hill to start his. FinFan, 8th fastest, knocked one off the table. Let's bring up the track map so we can see where they are sector-wise. We'll catch up with our current pole sitter, Hoopalicious. Green in this first sector. Now, Hoopalicious sitting second after Perandi goes green through the DRS zone. One more chance after this. He crosses the line and he's fastest, 1:06.450 as time expires in qualifying. This will be it for BRL Perandi. 1:06.47 for the Renault. Chandler Seta goes fastest, 1:06.34 in the Alfa Romeo. He's now purple in Interlagos. Will the Renault have anything for him as the McLaren gets right in his way? 190 through the DRS zone. 204 across the line, and Perandi goes quickest, 1:06.33. The Renault reclaims top spot in Brazil. Hoopalicious no longer on a flyer, briefly on the pole. He's still moving at speed. Perhaps the Red Bull has one more shot at the top spot. Deer Hunter, the only driver still on a fast lap. And the Red Bull will come down pit road as Deer Hunter goes across the line, currently 12th. And that's where he'll stay with 1:07.14. So, BRL Perandi for the second week in a row gets top spot. And he will share the front row with Chandler Seta for the Breakout Racing League Brazilian Grand Prix. Fans at home, we're going to have a formation lap. As always, before the lights go out, you have one more chance to grab a tasty beverage, perhaps a light snack, so you can sit back, relax, and enjoy this upcoming Brazilian Grand Prix. Thank you again so much for joining us. We'll be starting shortly. Dark skies above Interlagos as we wait for these drivers to load into the event. Twitch.tv/Breakout Racing League is where you want to be. Send the link out to your friends, your family, everybody you know. They don't want to miss this race. Formation lap underway. As the fans can see at the top of the table on the left-hand side, it will be a 36-lap event here at Interlagos. BRL Pirandi on the pole. Chandler Seta starting second in his Alfa Romeo. Chandler finds himself fourth in points, 45 behind Hoopalicious, who starts third. The Kiwi Ryan with a 74-point gap coming into Interlagos, and the championship is almost all but sealed. Anything is possible, but it looks like it's going to be just a formality for Ryan. However, nothing is certain in racing. B-Dunk rounding out the starting top five in one of the two McLarens. Then RBM Mary, who finds herself 15th in the points table, but only 11 back of BRL Neymar, who starts 10th. Ferrari Nut 94, who finds himself in one of the racing points. Number one, FinFan in the sister Alfa Romeo to Chandler Seta. Boss Cookie 9th, Neymar 10th, Mean Fern in one of two Alpha Tauris, starting in 11th place. Mean Fern 9th in the points table right now. Master Berserk, teammate to Ryan. GSR Axe, FRA Formula, teammate to our pole sitter. And Deer Hunter rounding out this gorgeous 15-car field at the historic Autodromo Carlos Pache. BRL Pirandi brings the field down the front straight. Fans at home, get ready. The penultimate race of the 2020 Breakout Racing League Formula One season is about to get started. The race predicts 13 to 15 laps for the one-stoppers, but about 22 for the others. 5 lights up, 5 lights down. We are racing once again at Interlagos. The Alfa Romeo of Chandler Seta now getting close to the inside of Pirandi through the Senna S. Chandler Seta now to the front through the Senna S, and the Alfa Romeo comes away with the lead. Now down the hill, look at all these cars fanning out. Chandler trying to break the toe going into 4 and 5. Hoopalicious challenging for second place around the outside of Pirandi. Now gives the crossover to the inside. Down out of the double apex into Ferradura 6, 7. Seta leads the charge. Pirandi in second briefly, a bit aggressive through the uphill section, but you must be in this opening lap. Now through 6, 7, leading just before the Duck's Beak. Seta, Pirandi, Hoop, your top three, yellow flag in sector 2, but they march on, drivers trading positions all throughout the back. Seta leading, Pirandi almost 1 full second as they leave junction going up the hill. Hoopalicious sitting in third, the Kiwi Ryan, your points leader fourth. B-Dunk rounds out the top 5, and leading the first lap at Interlagos is Chandler Seta with a half-second lead over Pirandi. Let's briefly bring up the tires that these drivers are sporting. You can see all of the top 11 rocking the softs and only 12th through 14th on the mediums. We'll see what the drivers with the softs do, how soon they will come into this track, notorious for shredding tires. But in the early going, the top 3 has not changed from the suspension of the third place Red Bull, less than half a second off of Pirandi, who finds himself second in points. And the fight between these two still well alive. Only 45 points the difference between Pirandi and Hoopalicious. And already we have a driver in pit road, Master Berserk, leaving pit road as he puts on the hard tires. Surely Berserk can't be thinking he wants to go 36 laps on the hard compound. We'll see what gamesmanship is up, but now the number 24 Mercedes AMG finds himself 15th of 15 competitors on the racetrack. Pirandi still leads, but now the fight for third heating up with the Kiwi Ryan turning on the pressure to Hoopalicious. Lock up from the Red Bull just ahead. B-Dunk starting to lose a bit of ground to the top 4. RBM Mary right on B-Dunk's tail, and then 1.5 seconds off of the wake of the second McLaren is Ferrari 94, but no pressure as Boss Cookie just incurs the first penalty of today's event. 3 seconds the penalty, as is customary for multiple warnings about extending track limits, or in this case possibly cutting the track. 3 seconds indeed, obviously just one stop for the Mercedes of Master Berserk, and the big winner from the start, FRA Formula, moving up 4 positions from lights out. Already cracked the top 10 and hunting down number 1 FinFan, who's lost 1 spot since the beginning. Looking out the front through the Senna S, and a bit of contact to the Red Bull of Boss Cookie up ahead. Ferrari Nut 94 into the racing point with some extreme blocking, almost going 3 abreast down the back straight into Lake Descent. Watching from this Alpha, Boss Cookie on the left, Ferrari Nut on the right. And Boss Cookie gets the better of that exchange up the hill, and heavy contact, and now you see pieces of the Alfa Romeo flying off, and number 1 FinFan has damage to the front of that Alfa Romeo. Let's see if we can get a good shot, if he's just missing the end plate or the entire right side of some of that front wing. Some oversteer now as FinFan struggles to put the power down naturally, as you might expect, and it is indeed heavy sustained damage to the right side of that front wing. What will it cost him? Will he box this time? Indeed he will, and the Alfa Romeo now comes down to correct the damage, and there's our second stop today. Meanwhile, back to the front of this one. Still a lot of action between these 3. The Red Bull of Boss Cookie, the Racing Point of Ferrari Nut, and the Renault of FRA Formula, who's now gained 5 positions since lights out. Challenge up the hill, Ferrari Nut trying to go around to the outside of Ferradura. Nothing doing in the Renault of FRA Formula. Now chasing down Ferrari Nut 94 through turns 6 and 7, 8 and 9. Now coming a little bit of contact as they come out of the Duck's Beak down into dive, and then junction leading into the uphill ascent across this extremely long front straight. Now 5 laps underway of the 36 in Interlagos. No DRS opening on the Racing Point of Ferrari Nut 94, but you just saw on the right-hand side the DRS closing. Let's get back with Ferrari Nut. We lost the camera there for a moment. He is facing heavy pressure from the Red Bull of Boss Cookie, but Boss does have a 3-second time penalty, as does BRL Neymar. Out of the uphill section, and look at the heavy contact. Big pieces of race car flying off, and it's the Haas of Neymar. You just saw the gray, white, and red barge boards, or the end plates, if you will, from that Haas go sailing into the wide turn 8, and it will cost Neymar dearly. Neymar already with 3 seconds worth of time penalties, and he has to make a premature pit stop to fix the damage on the front of that number 21 Haas. Opens up the DRS briefly, and now behind the Renault of FRA Formula. Let's see if we can catch up with this Renault, see if they replace the nose cone here, or any sort of damage to this black and goldenrod Formula One machine. And they are indeed replacing the front nose on FRA Formula. So the Haas of Neymar, the Renault of Formula, and they both go to the hard tire. So now that we've had plenty of action out on the racetrack, let's see who's on which tire. The top 8 still rocking the softs, but now these 2 that have encountered unexpected damage now on the hard tire for what could very well be the rest of the race. And look at this Fin fan trying to get every toe possible on the medium tire. Heavy lockup on the left front. He goes incredibly wide out of the lake descent. Now headed towards 6. He just came out of pit road himself. He's got 1 lap on those medium tires. What will FinFan be doing with his strategy now on fresh yellow Pirellis? One driver we've yet to mention, the AlphaTauri of Meanfern, also on medium tires. Almost looked like he was going to box for a moment, but now starting his 8th lap of competition, Meanfern sits. Well, now breaking the top 10 after Ferrari Nut joins pit road, and that Racing Point, you can see he's got the sunshine yellow Pirellis, those medium tires. Now fresh, but relatively cold compared to that of his competition. Here's his teammate Deer Hunter, who finds himself 9th with 7 laps of wear on the medium tire. Through 6, 7, 8, and 9, Pinarino, that downhill turn 9 out of turn 10 and 11. The Duck's Beak, the dive, turn 12, the junction as he begins sector number 3. Ferrari Nut incurs a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Through the box climb, the stands corner, getting a great toe from GSRX. Trying to attempt the pass into the Senna S. Heavy lockup from GSRX. But he gave it everything to hold on to 7th place. It upset the line a bit, but we'll see if he opens up the DRS now. He does, but it won't be enough to have a passing attempt into Lake Descent. Meanwhile, on the soft tire, the same amount of wear as the AlphaTauri and the Racing Point behind him. Boss Cookie has the same laps, but you can almost gamble that number 2 Red Bull has far more wear on his tires. And what will his strategy be now, knowing he's got 3 seconds worth of penalties? Ryan Ocon says, "Hey," at GSR Joe. Those of you just joining us as we begin lap number 9, this is round 21 in the 2020 Breakout Racing League Formula One campaign, the second to last race of the season before we complete this lovely competition next week at the virtual Yas Marina circuit from Abu Dhabi. RBM Mary holding her own in the top 5. A steady drive so far for this talented lady. She sits 7/10 behind her McLaren teammate B-Dunk. And B-Dunk holding an appreciable gap between himself and the top 3. There you can see it's almost 2 seconds to the Kiwi up ahead, NZL Ryan. 3rd place right now, but still hanging on with a very tight line to the Renault behind him of BRL Pirandi. Chandler Seta holding on to a 1-second lead as he climbs the hill to complete lap number 10. And so far, none of the top 8 with any pit stops, but you can see that 6 of 15 drivers have come down for service in one way or another. GSR Joe says, it's 3:45. Why am I up? Joe, I'll tell you why you're up, because you're not going to find better racing at 4 in the morning than Breakout Racing League F1. And this chase for 2nd place is starting to heat up well before pit stops. Is the Kiwi Ryan holding back a bit, knowing that pit stops are coming up as Ferrari Nut goes fastest with it looked like a 109, so he goes purple for the track. Let's ride along with the Kiwi Ryan as he goes up the hill, out of junction, cornered, now chasing down BRL Pirandi. Lovely rays of sunshine flowing into the driver's cockpit. He opens up DRS on the AMG Mercedes at over 200 miles an hour across the line. Down into the Senna S turns 1 and 2. Curva do Sol, or the Sun Curve, turn number 3. He completes sector 1 before he enters turn number 4 and 5, the Lake Descent. See who's got which penalty at the moment as he goes up 7 and 8 into 9. Pinarino, so far 4 drivers racking up penalties of 3 seconds apiece. And there's all you need to know about the current tire situation. All of the top 8 staying out on the tires that God gave them. And now the question has to be asked, how long will they stay out? The pit window should be opening, if not soon, within the next couple of laps. These top 3 staying as they are through the box climb and across stands. 12 laps now complete in Interlagos, and there's the pit window open right there for the drivers on the medium strategy. Lucky number 13 laps underway at Interlagos. GSR Joe, Ryan Ocon, Ben Radcliffe, Official RA Gamer, and everyone else who's joining us for this beautiful race in Brazil. Thank you so very much. Soon approaching the halfway mark tonight in Interlagos. Bit of a glitch there. You can see that the McLaren of B-Dunk at full chat. That number 43 Papaya Formula One race car. Seeing a gorgeous turbocharged V6 song through 6, 7, and 8. Now with GSR Axe, who's made up a couple of positions using the medium tire now that the golden period, if you will, of the soft tire has expired. Lovely, lovely shot of those cars descending through dive, out of junction and up the hill one more time. "14 laps underway in Interlagos. Plenty of drivers coming down for pit stops. Boss Cookie in the Red Bull descends through the Senna S, and he's got mirrors full of the Racing Point of Deer Hunter, who opens the DRS down the back straight into turns 4 and 5. You can see Deer Hunter so far the biggest winner, climbing 7 positions since lights out. A spirited drive so far for the Pink Panther Racing Point, but still over half this race to complete. Anything is possible. Hoopalicious sitting in 9th. You can see by the telemetry he's lost 6 positions since lights out. Hopefully there's a resurgence for this Red Bull, who's currently enjoying the hard tire compound. BRL Pirandi has entered pit road on the soft tire, and the only of the top 3 to do so. So now it's a game of chase. The Kiwi Ryan on the soft tire. When will his turn come for pit stops? You can see the drivers in full conveyor belt mode now. Everybody has enough space to drive their own race. Pirandi and Boss Cookie now down pit road. Here's your leader, Chandler Seta, headed into turn 9. A lockup headed into the Duck's Beak now, turn 11, the dive. Will the Alpha come down pit road? You can see the lap times have suffered a bit, half a second off the pace here. Let's remove a bit of these distracting graphics now. Up the hill, and he boxes. The Kiwi Ryan follows suit. The top 2 now down pit road, as does B-Dunk. RBM Mary now reassumes the lead in Interlagos. And 16 laps into this competition, the McLaren of RBM Mary now takes the lead at Interlagos. Proud moment for her. GSR Axe now in 2nd place in the Alpha Tauri as pit stops cycle through. Deer Hunter finds himself now in 3rd. BRL Pirandi, who was the first of the top 3 to come down pit road with a mirror full of Hoopalicious. And then the Alfa Romeo of Chandler Seta, now in 1st place on the medium compound. Let's see what it does to his lap times. I wouldn't expect purple anytime soon, as you see Neymar incurs 3 more seconds. Let's have a look at who's got most penalties so far. You can see it's FinFan and Neymar with 6 seconds apiece. Master Berserk now finds himself with a penalty. The Mercedes in 15th place gets his first reprimand of today's events. After the pit stops cycle through, you can see GSR Axe still leading, and he'll have another lap of wear, as will Deer Hunter. Now 16 laps on the medium tire. We'll see how far they choose to stretch it, because Pirandi, who sits in 3rd, he's now on the positive end of the pit road delta, coming out in front of Hoopalicious and Chandler Seta. When he entered pit road, well off the mark from Chandler Seta. Chandler Seta sitting 3rd of the top 3, so Chandler will be the biggest detractor. Axe now finding his mirrors increasingly pink, with Deer Hunter filling them 1 corner at a time, and these drivers losing boatloads of time on these worn medium tires. We'll see how far it takes them. Hoopalicious in 4th on the hard tire. You can see almost all 4 tires off the racing surface, trying to get a good line into junction. Meanwhile, Chandler Seta on the medium tire, these fresh mediums, as the Kiwi Ryan right behind him. Ryan opens up the DRS, and Ryan almost looking to get a pass on the outside, riding along with the Kiwi into the Senna S. Now 18 laps underway, the leaders still refusing to yield. Mean Fern, the only other driver with more than 15 laps of wear on their tires, now through the Sun Curve. The 8th place Alpha Tauri, not terribly far ahead of Ferrari Nut. There's Mean Fern now through the lake descent, and Ferrari Nut entering right behind him. Let's take a look at the intervals between these drivers here. 7 seconds up to the next fastest, GSR-X, and Neymar's gone around. You just saw there in the distance. It goes from bad to worse for the Red Bull, for the Haas, excuse me. And the yellow flag is lifted in Sector 2, but not good for Neymar. GSR-X, however, and Deer Hunter staying out, and that's Pirandi sitting in third right behind them. So the Renault, who sits on fresh tires, looking to overtake the top two, who have 18 laps of wear on the mediums. Thank you to those of us joining this race right now. I'm Rick James. We have just completed halfway through round 21 of the 2020 Brazilian Grand Prix, and pardon my reach there. Now back with the racing action. BRL Pirandi sits in third behind these top two, and there's really no reason for Pirandi to push the issue. They must yield eventually with tires that are 15 laps more worn than that of BRL Pirandi. However, time is money, and Hoopalicious is waiting for no one. He will open his DRS, as will Pirandi. Pirandi gets ever closer, and now 19 laps of wear for the leaders on the mediums. Pirandi now smells pink blood in the water. He's right up to the gearbox of Deer Hunter. A little squirrely out of the Senna S, and he'll have to wait for another passing opportunity on the next lap. Once again, right up on the gearbox of the pink Racing Point, now to the inside, and the Racing Point locks it up, but through the duck's beak, he makes the overtake, and Pirandi now finds himself in the second position, chasing down GSR-X, and Deer Hunter not only losing second, he goes back down to fourth after Hoopalicious claims third place. And still another lap of competition for Deer Hunter on these medium tires, despite the fact he's losing so much time. If he's not going to take them to the end, it looks like he, GSR-X, Mean Fern with 20 laps of wear are all going to go for the soft compound in the very end. We'll see where this plays out. Penalties galore at Interlagos, with only 3 drivers still not making pit stops. RBM Mary now picks up her first penalty of the event. Deer Hunter, despite the fact not coming down pit road, obviously picking up a grand number of positions. Right behind Deer Hunter is Chandler Seta in the Alfa Romeo. That's right along with Chandler. Well, let's not, with that horrendous noise coming from that Alfa Romeo down the straight. Chandler flicks open DRS, and now GSR-X concedes the lead. He comes down pit road on his mediums. However, Deer Hunter is still staying out. Chandler Seta managing to get through, and now the Kiwi Ryan right behind the Racing Point of Deer Hunter. And there goes that lovely pink number 53 Mercedes-powered race car into the lake descent. Ryan now with his sights set on the Italian Alfa just up ahead in turn 6. Chandler Seta holding third place, 1.2 seconds behind Hoopalicious, who finds himself almost 1 second behind Pirandi. 22 laps into this competition. let's take a look at whose tires sit where. Now that these drivers have had a few laps on their tires, 12 laps of wear for Hoopalicious on the hard compound. Is Hoop planning to go the distance? Is Hoop caning it on the hard to get a couple of good laps on the soft? Neymar picks up another penalty 23 laps into this race. Fans in the chat, don't be afraid to interact as Pirandi goes purple for the race. Let us know who your bet is to win. Let us know what you predict. And possibly any shout outs to any fellow fans. Pirandi leading for now. Hoopalicious, impressive run, holding second place given the gap he's got over Chandler Seta in third. Seta locks it up. The Kiwi Ryan still applying heavy pressure behind Chandler Seta, but B-Dunk getting ever closer as the Alfa Romeo holds up the AMG Mercedes. Boss Cookie in the Red Bull holding the 7th position. A bit of a gap up to GSR Axe, but enough of a gap to Ferrari Nut that he's in a world of his own. We'll see what Boss Cookie can do climbing the hill to complete this lap of racing. Back to the front of this one, Chandler Seta loses 3rd position to the Kiwi Ryan. But Chandler Seta with DRS open, Ryan does not have that luxury. So if Seta can stay glued to the back of that Mercedes, as you can see, the gearbox glitches will get off that terrible noise there. If Seta can stay glued to the back of that Mercedes going through junction and up the hill, he'll have a wonderful overtake opportunity into the Senna S. Speaking of overtake, GSR Axe on the soft tire, now getting past RBM Mary. Let's ride along with Mary and let's see the gap increase to the Alpha Tauri. Mary 6 laps on the mediums. Axe just naturally pulling away on the softs, but Boss Cookie up ahead in the Red Bull. The junior Alpha Tauri begins to close the gap. It's 1.8 seconds as he goes up junction. Let's see how the gap closes. 1.1 seconds in closing now, headed into the Senna S. Almost sub 1 second. Naturally, that Alpha Tauri on the soft tires chasing down the Red Bull on the mediums. You would expect GSR Axe to overtake in the next coming laps. The gap between 7th and 8th now less than 1 second, but RBM Mary now closing within half a second of Axe. So Axe is not out of the woods. Earlier today, Axe with some fans in the chat. Back through this field, Axe holding only half a second now ahead of Mary as they take the descent into junction. Half a second now between the McLaren of B-Dunk as you see a big lockup into the Senna S. B-Dunk pushing on the Alpha of Chandler Seta. B-Dunk opens the DRS and closes within 4/10 of Chandler into turns 4 and 5. What can he turn this into with less than 11 laps remaining at Interlagos? Yellow flag in sector 2, but now it's quickly waved away. B-Dunk now within 3/10 briefly before B-Dunk locks up the tires, and you can see Neymar retires from the session. There's a yellow flag in sector 1, presumably for that Haas, and it is a shame, but a valiant effort nonetheless for BRL Neymar. He will be finishing 15th, a of 15 competitors today. The descent into the Senna S, Chandler Seta with 2 puffs of smoke chasing down the Kiwi Ryan, who's gotten into the 3rd position. Now yellow flags in Sector 1 and Sector 2. Perhaps trouble for a couple of drivers who have lost their concentration. Everyone okay through here. FinFan in a world of his own, and now into junction, so everyone looks okay. And now just the yellow flag in Sector 2, but most of our leaders doing just fine. Chandler Seta closed back up to Ryan B-Dunk, undisturbed in the 6th position. And then 15 seconds back, RBM Mary just barely holding on to 6th place ahead of Boss Cookie as Axe picks up another penalty, multiple warnings for cutting the track. Up the hill, 27 laps now complete, 28 laps underway. Chandler Seta finds himself 6/10, now half a second, less than half a second through the Senna S around the Sun Curve. As Master Berserk picks up another 3-second penalty, the DRS opens on the Alpha, the chase into the Lake Descent. Pirandi leading by 3 seconds over Hoopalicious, which bodes good for Pirandi, who holds a 45-point gap over his 3rd place in the points table rival, Hoopalicious, as Ferrari Nut goes purple, 1:08.53. Ferrari Nut sporting those lovely red shoes on the pink, white, and blue BWT-sponsored Racing Point Mercedes. Always did love those rose-colored Racing Points. Just something special about livery that you can see from just about anywhere. A very, very recognizable livery indeed. All of these race cars are beautiful in their own way, but a gorgeous, gorgeous livery nonetheless. Boss Cookie holds the 7th position, 1.6 seconds back of RBM Mary, but the fight for 3rd now done with. We were going to flash, but Ryan beat us to the punch. The Kiwi Ryan now 3.7 seconds adrift of Pirandi, who's 74 points back before the final round at Interlagos. What will Ryan be able to muster? Will Hoopalicious still be able to apply the pressure? It will be 7 laps remaining in Brazil as the yellow flag comes out in Sector 2 and Sector 3. A slow car there, and that's Master Berserk, teammate to the Kiwi Ryan. And that Mercedes AMG Formula One car very wisely peels off the track in the junction corner and lets the competition go by. 3.8 seconds the gap to the Kiwi Ryan, and 1 week ago we were in the same situation. BRL Pirandi with a substantial lead over the Kiwi in the final laps in Mexico. Ended up getting the win. It would be Ryan's second consecutive, Pirandi's second consecutive win. It would be Ryan's second consecutive silver medal if the finishing order stays as it is. Pirandi has not had consecutive wins since round 12 at Silverstone when he took top spot, and then round 11 in Austria when he did the same. For the Kiwi Ryan, it will be his, last week was his first second place finish since round 11 in Austria. These two drivers have finished first and second in that order, Pirandi and Ryan respectively, a total number of 3 times this season. Will it be 4 in Brazil? The gap dwindling now from 3.8 to 3.7, but with 6 laps to go as the Kiwi nearly makes a fatal mistake into the Senna S, it could be too little, too late. Hoopalicious with a 7/10 advantage over Chandler Seta, but you can just see a brief flash of white tire And that Red Bull on some worn hard compounds. Let's pull up our tire telemetry here. And you can see Hoopalicious sporting 7 more laps of wear than Chandler Seta on the more fresh, more grippy medium tire. The gap is now 0.8, and Chandler Seta doesn't need to push the issue. He just needs to be there at the end. And he might be able to find a gap or a way around Hoopalicious for a spot on the podium. Back to the Kiwi Ryan, and you can see 1 lap ago where the gap was 3.7, it is now 3.9 as Pirandi descends into the Senna S around the Sun curve, down the back straight. And it's been a masterclass of a drive for this Renault. One of the first leaders to come down pit road. He applied the same strategy in Mexico 1 week ago. Having a great drive in the top 3, one of the first leaders to come down pit road. He played the pit road delta to perfection, and that now finds him with a 4-second gap above his championship rival, the Kiwi Ryan. But once again, as we mentioned from the top of the show, the championship is all but a lock for the Kiwi. He comes into this race with a 74-point gap above BRL Pirandi. Hoopalicious in the Red Bull, just about 0.6 ahead of Chandler Seta. Chandler in the Alpha. I always forget about that glitch, don't I? Now 33 laps into this competition, 4 laps to go. And Chandler, he's chasing down Hoopalicious, but B-Dunk is chasing down Chandler. B-Dunk opens the DRS and now gets a good pull down the straight, but Chandler now within 0.4 of Hoopalicious down the lake descent. And there is the Red Bull of Hoopalicious, those white Pirellis screaming for mercy as he locks them up one more time. Red Bull, the Alfa Romeo, chasing this Red Bull now through the Duck's Beak. The gap between first and second, 3.8 seconds, dwindling to 3.7, but it does seem too little, too late. Meanwhile, the race for the final podium position continues to rage on. The DRS opens from the back of the Alfa Romeo down the straight 3 laps remaining, 3 more laps as puffs of smoke come from the Red Bull up ahead. Ugly sound coming from that Alfa Romeo there. 4/10, now 5/10, the gap into lake descent, 4 seconds, the gap between first and second place. Chandler Seta in the Alpha briefly held pole until our first place driver, BRL Pirandi, snatched it away. Chandler finds himself 4th in points, only 44 units adrift of Hoopalicious. This could pay dividends headed into the final round if Chandler can manage to steal 3rd away from Hoop. Two laps to go in Interlagos. It has been a thrill watching this competition, watching these drivers send these cars wide, give it a full send into the Senna S. And it's been an absolute privilege to bring you these images from the virtual Interlagos circuit. We have 1.5 more laps of racing in the penultimate event in this 2020 BRL F1 season. Hoopalicious can still see the Kiwi Ryan just up ahead, but I don't think Hoop will be concerned with trying to take second away. Master Berserk, he gets a 5-second penalty for speeding into the pit lane, but it looks like Berserk will confidently take 14th position. No harm, no foul whatsoever. Out of junction, climbing the hill for the second to last time, Chandler Seta now crushing the gap to the Red Bull. Chandler will open the DRS, now looking from behind Hoop. We can just look from behind Hoop. Here comes Chandler to the inside. Chandler into the Senna S. Do they make contact? They do. Out of the Senna S. Hoop bravely defending that position through the Sun Curve. Here's Chandler now to the outside, trying to go into 5 to take third place, and he does. Chandler Seta on the final lap takes away third place from Hoopalicious. Expertly crafted. You saw the attempt into turn 1, and it was almost disastrous for both of these drivers, but they raced it beautifully, as hard as they both could. An excellent display of skill for these drivers. Hoop will have one more attempt headed up the hill, but for BRL Perandi, who's up the hill for the final time down the straight, it will be his second consecutive victory. He will win round 21, the Brazilian Grand Prix. Chandler Seta will come away with third place. A spirited fight to the end, just 0.2 of a second, the gap back to third. What a race for the final podium position. Fans at home, stay tuned. We'll try and have our top 3 interviews for this race. Perandi comes away with his second consecutive win for the 5th time this season. It will be a 1-2 finish for Perandi and the Kiwi in no particular order. Perandi takes home all the marbles. He will be doing a samba to himself. And the carnival is on. BRL Perandi gets his second consecutive win. It is his 6th victory this season. Fans, sit tight. We'll have top 3 interviews in just a moment. Now here for our top 3 interviews. Let's see if we can get a word with our third place finisher, our bronze medalist today, Chandler Seta, driver of one of the Alfa Romeos. Chandler, you seem to have a spirited drive out there. Did you have fun? Sorry, Chandler, sounds like we had no audio there, but yeah, you do lose a bit of the pace for the race there, but it was some extracurricular activities in those opening laps there, Chandler. The first half of the race looked fantastic. Let's see if we can get a word with our second place finisher, the Kiwi Ryan. Ryan, you managed to come home with a silver medal tonight. At times it looked like you even had the race locked up. What happened there, Ryan? What prevented you from getting the top spot? A bit a bit too late indeed there, but no, no, absolutely, absolutely. But you still gave it your best there. And coming out of the pit stops, when you saw Perandi had beaten the Delta to first, was there any doubt in your mind that he was going to win this race? Naturally, naturally, naturally. No, we understand certainly. For the fans at home that didn't catch the audio for our audio difficulties, Ryan saying you had a bit of difficulty in the race, but the important thing is you had fun. Ryan, did you have a good time? Yeah, it's all right. Well, it could have been better than being bad. Gentlemen, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for coming through. Chandler, congratulations on the bronze. Ryan, congratulations on your silver. We'll see you next week for Abu Dhabi, gentlemen. Chandler says it's the track he's going to skip. Hopefully the Kiwi comes through for Abu Dhabi, but we'll see you in 7 days' time. Cheers, boys. No word from our race winner, BRL Perandi, but I'm sure he's more than thrilled to come home with all the marbles today. That's going to do it for everybody here. For Chandler Seta, for the Kiwi Ryan, for GSR Joe, Ryan Ocon, for TRT Arthur, Foxtrot, everybody involved with Breakout Racing League Formula One. Thank you for being a part of this. And don't forget, in 7 days' time, 10 p.m. Eastern Time in the United States, we will have the final round of the 2020 Breakout Racing League Formula One season from the lovely, lit Yas Marina circuit. I mean that literally, not L-I-T, lit with lights. Yas Marina circuit. We hope to catch you there. For everything else, you can follow us on Discord, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Breakout Racing League is where you can find points, previous races, anything you need to keep you in the loop. Once again, thank you so much. I've been Rick James. We will see you next week at Abu Dhabi. We'll see you around the corner.